To start out, either from the home screen, or if you've closed that, you can also do it from the new screen. We're going to start a new drawing. Uh, when you do this, it's kind of nice if you do this with the part open, because as this loads, you'll notice that, oh, sorry, I'm a step ahead. You do want to then choose, depending on which units you want your dimensions to display in and your scale to display in, you would either pick the landscape template for inches or the landscape template for millimeters. Pick whichever one's applicable. In this case, I'm going to use inches. And then, as I was saying, if you have the part open, it'll show as one of your open documents here. You can click on it and drag it right in. If, like in my case, it's not currently open, you can click the Browse button and navigate to wherever you have it, and then go ahead and pick your part that you're going to bring in and click OK. Now, your first view that you're going to want to drop is the front view. Front view should go, if you imagine dividing the page in half, both vertically and horizontally, your front view should go in this lower left quadrant, probably more towards the bottom of it. So I'm going to click here to drop this down. I'm then going to move upward to create the top view and click. I'm going to move out to create the right side. I'm also going to move out kind of at an angle to create the isometric view. Those are the 4 views that we're going to do on our standard drawings. The first thing I am going to do is I want to check real quick and see, is the scale being used as large as it can be and still fit all the views on the page? It kind of guesses, and sometimes you'll have some parts that are a little borderline. So what I want to do is I want to click on the front view. Since it is the parent view, you'll also see it called Drawing View 1. And it says use sheet scale. That's the scale that it guessed that you needed. And I'm going to use custom scale so I can manipulate this. It went 1 to 8. I'm going to try 1 to 4. I think it might fit. My biggest thing is do I have enough room for these 2 views? And the fact is I am going to. My side didn't change a whole lot. You'll notice that my ISO is kind of off the page, but I'm going to make that smaller anyways. And I believe as long as I keep these close to the edge, I should be good. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my isometric view. In this case, since it was the 4th one I clicked, it's called Drawing View 4. I'm going to switch it to realist or shaded with edges. And then I'm also going to change it to a use custom scale. And I'm going to cut whatever scale it is in half. So it's 1 to 4 currently. I'm going to go 1 to 8. If it was 1 to 1, I'd go 1 to 2. If it was 1 to 2, I'd go 1 to 4. I'm then going to also move this kind of up into the corner as much as possible. If the view box starts to go out to the outside of the title block, that's fine. But as you can see here, I do have that nice isometric pictorial type view up in the corner. No big deal there. So what things do I do next? After this, I'm going to want to add some dimensions. Try to use, even on a part as simple as this, try to go ahead and use all 3 views for dimensions. What I will do to do that is I will go under annotations, click Smart Dimension, and I'll make sure that I'm able to use parts of this, parts of all of my views. So I'm just going to real quick do the overalls, which makes a lot of sense. And then you should be able to see I also have to dimension some of this this hole here. So I can dimension not only the size, but the location. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to go ahead and click this and delete it because I'm going to add that to the other side. So I'm going to pull this down here. So those whole locations is there. I'm going to go ahead and add that measurement that I removed over here, just for clarity so that I don't have stuff overlapping. I'm also going to put the radius of that curved piece, as well as if I click the line here, I can get the length of this, and I can also put in some locational dimensions. So this will be how far up from the bottom that is. And just to keep things nice and neat, I'm going to go from that radius to here and get us the distance from the end. So that shows me where the size of everything is and where it's located. Now, the one thing that isn't really showing in these views is how deep. So I have a slot and I have a hole, and I can't tell, do they just go all the way through? Do they go in and stop? I can't really tell those features. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at probably the top view. So I'm going to click on the top view, and I'm going to go one style to the left so that I have hidden lines visible. And what that will show me is the slot does go all the way through. I have basically where the slot end starts to curve and the very end of the slot, and then I have the through hole here. So the nice part is those show me where those stop. If, for example, this hole did not go all the way through, if it went in 1.5, then what I could do is I could actually use a dimension tool and show that depth on this view using the hidden lines because it's not apparent anywhere else. So in this case, I'm almost done with everything that goes on the drawing. The last thing I'm going to do is I am going to go to Note here. I'm going to click once somewhere under the isometric, and I am going to add the note of the material and the mass. Um, this should be on point with whatever mass and material that the part was drawn in. So the format, though, is material, and this is, again, all in caps, colon, space, and then whatever it was. Because it's showing up as a yellow color, I'm going to assume that maybe it was brass. I'm not certain, but you're going to know since you're going to be doing this on your own parts that you've designed. And I'm going to pretend that the mass was then 1.25 pounds. If it was designed in the metric system, then it would be so many grams. Make sure that that matches whatever it is you've used. Again, we're using inches here, so I would use pounds as the mass weight. The two words material and mass should then be bolded so that they stand out a little bit from the actual answers to what is the material and what is the mass. And once we are all done, you can also move this around, but this will basically kind of be up here with your isometric so that you have plenty of room for your dimensioning. It shouldn't interfere with anything, but it's just up there. So the drawing area for this one is now pretty much complete. I'm going to now come down here to the title block. To do the title block, I am going to right click anywhere where there is not a view or a dimension or a note or anything else and go to edit sheet format. Now everything on the sheet hides. I'm looking just now at the title block and this text here. So what you need to do is, in order to change it, you just double click on everything and you would put in what actual period you have, the class, the actual project name, the actual drawing name, your name first and last, what class you're in. And then as you come over here, those were all replacing the placeholders. These ones leave the kind of the title, like scale and page, alone. But you will eliminate some of the, or you will use some of the other placeholders. So if this was part of an assembly, this might be page 4 of 7 or whatever, that you're going to actually know that information and fill it out correctly. Now, the other thing you're going to fill out is your scale. This was not one-to-one. The actual dimensioned drawings on here that are hidden right now were 1:4, or basically in the English system, we would call that 1/4 of an inch equals 1 inch, as in 1/4 of an inch on the drawing represents 1 inch in real life. So all you need to do, if you're using the inches system, whatever ratio SolidWorks used, in this case it was 1:4, if I just replace the colon with a slash and turn it into a fraction in the first number, I get it right. So 1:8 would have been 1/8 of an inch equals a foot. 1:2 would have been 1/2 inch equals a foot. Otherwise, you can leave that as 1:1 if it is actually correct. So you would make all the changes you need to make. And then when you right click, edit sheet, unfortunately, it's not in the same place, but if you just go edit sheet, then you'll go back. Your changes should still show. This all goes to black and gray. And the rest of the drawing is done. This is how you will complete the drawing and have it print ready is the term we're going to use. So it's ready now to either actually print if it's for certain things, or if it's for an activity where you're turning it in digitally, it's now ready to take your screenshot and turn in using that process.